Hey, welcome back, lovely people from the internet, dancers, not dancers, artists, I will say. Hello. Today we are going to continue our series about, I guess, a lot of stuff, but mostly solo creation and thoughts that I have surrounding that topic. As I said previously, today is the day of the injuries. Injuries time. Very fun. And not fun, but yes, pain. And why injuries are amazing? Yes, it's true. Injuries are actually amazing, and they are amazing for you. And it's very weird I'm saying that, because as a dancer, you don't really want to have injuries, but also it's kind of a little bit impossible not to have them. I know that kind of sounds very weird and like problematic, but in some way injuries are important for you. So why do I say that injuries are amazing? Well, first, I would like to maybe make a question and ask you, what is pain? Okay, so pain, like, there is a lot of ways you can, like, I guess, define pain, but basically pain, it's a response. Okay, it's some kind of like unpleasant sensorial experience that you get from either a feeling or, like, let's say, damaging of tissue, but also the feeling of damaging of tissue. And this is why pain is not all the times related to something bad necessarily. Okay, so pain is something that we developed in a way to protect the body. Okay, so the body wants to protect itself, so you must feel pain sometimes in moments where you're not actually in danger, but your body feels that there might be danger there. Okay, so sometimes we can confuse pain with actual damage, okay, of tissues or like an actual injury. Why is this important? I think it's important to know that you can also train yourself to not feel that much pain in certain occasions where someone else will feel most and a lot of pain. So saying that, I'm gonna say why I think injuries are amazing. The first thing about injuries is that they actually make you know yourself much better than you already knew. So an injury, it's some kind of tissue damaging, can be like a fracture, can be a tearing of a muscle, but can also be a cut. You can cut yourself, and that is also an injury. Okay, injury is basically like a damage in your body that is kind of stopping you through pain. Okay, so the pain that you're gonna feel because of this injury is gonna make you stop doing certain stuff, or at least it's gonna tell to your body, hey, don't do this, it's actually painful, it's actually damaging you. Okay, why it's important to have injuries, you will say? Well, first, because before you get an injury, you might not be maybe 100% aware of your limits or what kind of possibilities you have around your body. Okay, so let's say before you have an injury in certain like part, like let's say a hamstring, which is actually a very common place to have an injury, you will not maybe understand what are the kind of feelings that you start to get before you get a tearing muscle or something like that around that area. Okay, and after you get an injury, you actually learn through pain that maybe going beyond a certain kind of body limits is not very beneficial, because it makes you stop for a long time, a longer time than if you will just stop for a few minutes and give your body a rest. Okay, can make you understand to know your limits and how much is possible to bend or to go in certain positions. Okay, injuries are there as some kind of like past experience to make you grow. Okay, so you can take it like that. Okay, injuries are good because without an injury you will never be aware that it's possible to get an injury. Okay, I know it sounds silly, but it's actually very important. And if you have never had like a very strong injury, you might feel that you are invincible and that your body can just go forever and ever. But as soon as you have an injury, you actually learn a lot what is your limit, and that makes you control yourself better. So that's one thing. And the second thing why injuries are kind of very amazing is that because of what we talked last video, and it's about limits. Okay, an injury is kind of a limitation in your body that is make you feel like you need to stop in certain points, okay? And why is this good? Because without some kind of limits, we will never really explore new possibilities. If you always stays with a 100% fully healed and perfect functionable body, you will never maybe address certain spots that you will never address without some kind of limit, okay? I kind of want to give examples around this topic of like limits making you go further in kind of accessing new possibilities and ideas. But I also want to first say maybe something about where do we get the ideas, okay? So we know that pain is not actually pain, but pain is just like a response to maybe something that could be wrong or is going wrong. And we also know that injuries are there as some kind of lesson, okay? Maybe you want to ask something to yourself. What is failure? So I will say maybe to define failure, we need to define what is success, okay? So let's say that success, as I see it, as I see success, it's having an open mind, it's being open to new ideas constantly. Also, having the constant feeling that you need to improve, okay? So you are not a successful person maybe if you don't want to go and understand more than you already know, okay? So I will say the problem with success is that we feel this some kind of a goal that you need to arrive. I'm gonna be successful after I do this and this and this, and you check the points, and then suddenly you are successful and you can rest forever until the eternity, until you die, and that's all, you already became successful. But I will say that's really wrong, and I think that's very problematic, and you will see eventually why that is very problematic. But I will say success is more like a kind of thing that you have as a, like, it's not an ultimate goal. So success comes through the doing, okay? So while more you are like trying new things and feeling that you need to learn more, keep, you know, moving through life with this adventurous energy and wanting to go beyond yourself and become a better person, or not necessarily better, but like expand yourself, I will say that is already a successful way of living your life, okay? So it's not a goal, it's a way of. I hope that is clear. That is success for me, at least. You can define success as a lot, but I will say, and remember this, don't take success as a kind of goal that you need to reach, okay? So don't think I'm gonna be successful when I complete like my school and I have this degree and I am married and I have child and I earn $1,000, okay? That is a bit more, okay? $1,000 is not that much nowadays, but let's say don't take it as a goal, okay? I already said that, I'm not gonna repeat myself. So what is failure, okay? So failure is, and think about this, and maybe first do the question for yourself, what is failure, okay? So I'm gonna say that failure is the best teacher, okay? Failure is the only way you can actually learn and become better or expand through certain directions, okay? Without failure, without mistakes, without failing, you will never actually learn, okay? So learning comes from failure. Learning comes from not learning enough or not being enough in certain points that actually ask you to move forward. Okay, saying that, I'm gonna give 3 examples of how like injuries or body limitations can be actually very beneficial for you, and how they can lead you to making adventurous and very unique forms of idealizing ways of understanding art. I said that very weirdly, but basically why this is very optimal for becoming to new ideas, okay? So the first one is related with dance, because we are talking about solo creation and dance, and especially like, okay, David Zambrano, okay? So the first example, he's a dancer, he's also a teacher, he's also a kind of a choreographer, he's an improviser, he defines himself in very much ways. He's basically the creator of a technique called flying low, okay? And I was trying to actually search more about this, like in some kind of Wikipedia or searching, like a website. There is very little information about like how he made flying low. Like if you just search it like that, it's not gonna appear. I guess you need to go through like interviews and stuff like that. I did read some interviews and I know him personally. He was my teacher. He's a very nice guy, so I can maybe tell you a little bit for what I know, okay? But I would love that there is a bit more information about this, like in the internet. There is not even a YouTube video or like, like the classic of like, how was flying low invented, da, da, da. Or at least I wasn't able to find it. If there is there, it's not being pushed to me through the algorithm, so that's a pity. So maybe this can be some kind of like video about that. Or in the future I could make something related to that, because I think it's a pity. It's a very great story. Okay, I'm gonna say what I know. So the myth goes like this. David Zambrano got a very strong injury in, I think, his ankle or his foot, okay? This stopped him from walking, okay? He couldn't walk normally, he couldn't run, he couldn't walk. This, as you might feel, it's a very tragic thing for a dancer, because some people even have this idea that it's very interesting, that it's like, dancing is just walking with style, walking with rhythm. That's very fun, but in some kind of ways it's kind of true, and it's a very simplistic way to understand dance, but why not to see it in this very simple way? And what do you do as a dancer when you cannot walk? Okay, but even go beyond that. What do you do as a human when you cannot walk, when you cannot do the basic thing that you were kind of made to do? We kind of evolved to walk in 2 feet. We kind of like, our feet are flat and they built like towards the front and like in that position, being like, so we are able to walk, okay, forward. So it must be very struggling and very frustrating not being able to walk as a dancer or as a human in general, okay? So what he did, he started to go to the floor. So he started to work a lot in patterns and finding ways how to move very efficiently in the floor, okay? This is how he invented flying low, or at least that was the beginning of it. Let's say they tells you, oh, you have 6 months, you cannot walk. Even if he was trying to walk, he couldn't, because it was a very strong injury and the pain was not making him able to do normal stuff. So he went to the floor and he started to find ways to move, okay? He finds spirals, he find like very organic ways to move. He found mechanisms that then he developed into a technique, okay? And flying low, it's one of the most recurrent techniques that you will see in all around contemporary dance around the globe, I will say. So not only in every school and in every festival you're gonna have like flying low there immersed into every kind of other kind of styles or techniques, but also there is plenty of companies that do flying low and they practice flying low, and it's a very part of the ABC of dance. And even a lot of people will tell you that going through Zambrano as a teacher is actually one of the most like crucial things you must do as a dancer in nowadays, okay? Because he's still alive and he still gives classes. That is kind of very crazy for someone to make. He created a technique, or you couldn't say that he created, but he kind of found it. He understood these principles, and what people say, and I think this is the real story, but he was like kind of doing this stuff in a studio one day with his friends, and he was kind of showing it, and they were like looking, and they were like kind of like, oh wow, you look so gracefully in the floor, like you're kind of like almost flying low, flying low. And that's how he made like the name. So basically it's crazy to think that one person came with all this, or one issue in one person made him actually understand something that we all kind of know since we are young, which is rolling, which is like crawling, which is going through the floor without so much effort. You want to minimize your effort, you want to move graciously in the floor. Flying low was there from the beginning, maybe the idea was surrounding, but he could access to it easily because his body was actually stopping him to move as we normal adults move, okay, walking or running. And now this is something I want to say before we continue, that this body impossibility, so this limitation in his body made him access more easily the source, the ideas, okay? So what I'm calling the source is you can call it however you want, okay? So creativity, it can be the ideal kind of world, the dimension of the mind, okay? So consciousness, the divine, okay, God. You find the words you want for it, but what I'm saying right here, and I know this sounds very metaphysical in some way, but I don't want to go there. I would like to stay as understanding that when you are lacking body faculties, you actually get better sensories in other places. So what I'm saying is that, and this is very known, if you're lacking like vision or hearing or some kind of stimuli in your body, you're gonna develop higher other senses, okay? So if you're blind, you're gonna have amazing hearing, and your tactility is gonna be much more rich than in someone that has his all senses. How I made it come with sense, and you can like agree with me or not, is that in our current society, or like our civilization, how we are being built since lots of generations ago, is that our bodies are some kind of machines, okay? And they are being molded and like programmed through society or through life to be productive. So what society wants from us is that we are a productive body, that we are obedient, that we make money, that we go to like work, that we are good employees, that we are following certain rules. So they want to control us in that way. And I know I'm sounding very crazy, but let's take it as a very simple thing. If you want to like create a society, you want people to be obedient and follow certain kind of rules. For that, we are actually being, since young, programmed through our bodies. So the fact that we are being seated in like desks since we are young, and they are always taking like arts and sports as some kind of thing that is an extra that you can also do, but it needs to have like a goal, like some kind of function for society. So you cannot just move for the sake of moving, or you cannot just make art for the sake of making art. If you do it, then you should like make something from it, money or recognition, or it should like be useful for society, okay? In that way, we are very utilitarian, okay? We only think in stuff that is gonna give us some kind of like privilege over others. So that also makes that our bodies are kind of built towards following certain kind of directions. And that is why I think that being limited with your body in this kind of terms can give you more accessibility and more like easiness to access this source, this mind, this collective thing that is like surrounding us all the time, that we maybe all know, but it's hard for us to go because our bodies are so limited through like society and all this. I know I went very far there, but basically what I'm saying is that Zambrano and all these people we're gonna see now and talk about right now were able to access some kind of degree of reality that usually people like us weren't able to access since a long time, because we've been so much like measured through society, okay? That's basically it. Being limited with about something in your body makes you more accessible to the source, okay? The source of ideas, of creativity, of creation. And we are creative beings. That is something that arises normally through us. And if there is something not working well with us, our inner desire or outer desire, however you want to like see it, makes you wanna shine and like understand and bring more light to whatever you are missing. So if you're missing movement through your legs, you're gonna find ways to moving efficiently without them. This is what I'm talking about with like injuries are amazing. Okay, another example. One of the greatest composer, musicians like ever in history, Beethoven, okay, Beethoven. He has made so much amazing music that until the day of today is like so relevant in terms of like also how much he has inspired, and it's like embedded in our like minds and like unconsciousness. He was deaf. He couldn't really hear, but he made amazing music. But he was not completely deaf all his life, okay? So at the end of 28, he started to lose. There was signs of like losing of hearing, okay? And then at 46, when he was like 46, he was completely deaf. He started to lose death a bit like around the beginning of his adult life, and then he kept like that until all his life, until he died. Still, he could make amazing compositions. How this was possible? And it was actually because, if you think about it, music is actually like vibrations. So he could see the music, okay? He will see it as some kind of movie, okay? He will see the images made by music. And this is what made him compose crazy things, okay? Like very, very impressive compositions that are so mesmerizing for us, people that do hear everything. Being kind of limited in a very crucial part of composing music made him understand music in a new and different way as anyone else have actually maybe reached until that point, or maybe they have, but they haven't been that famous, okay? Also, life is like that. Sometimes people make amazing things and we never know about them. But Beethoven was deaf most of his adult life, and he was seeing the music, okay? He found ways to understand music that anyone has. So, last example. John Milton. John Milton was an English poet. He wrote Paradise Lost, which is one of the most beautiful and well-written poems and like texts of the English-speaking language. But he was blind, okay? So he couldn't really write it itself. What he was doing was singing these poems through music. So he saw the whole poems as a musical, okay, as some kind of like music, and he has some like secretaries writing it for him. So even if he couldn't see the text, he wrote one of the most influential like pieces of text that has ever written in the English language. Again, what we are lacking from one part, we are gonna get it from the other side. So what you shouldn't be afraid, especially when you have some kind of limit, is to think that that is gonna limit you, okay? So that is the problem we have with like limitations, and especially in life, because as I said in the last chapter, it's impossible and almost surely you will never be free of limits. You always have limits in your life. Even if you don't see them, you might be living with them constantly and you never notice them, but you are full of limits. And as more limits you get, the more free you feel. But you should understand that you actually just have more possibilities. And even if you always had these possibilities, now you are kind of forced into them. So it's life making you progress. You should never see to staying in one place as some kind of success, okay? So failure might take you out of your comfort zone, and this is actually good. In this way we grow, okay? Pain, it's necessary to grow most of times. And even though you can learn and find ways to discover things and accessing to this source, without this can actually be very beneficial if you know how to use it. And that's what I'm kind of like telling you right now. You should take everything as an opportunity. You should always see life as a constant seeking for more possibilities. When you get comfortable in some place, that's gonna rotten you up, okay? That's gonna be bad for you eventually. You wanna constantly challenge yourself. And an injury can be a very practical way to challenge yourself. And sometimes life brings you these challenges and you don't know what to do with them, and you can feel very unfortunate and you can think that life is miserable. But it's only miserable if you think it is, okay? And you only gonna think that something is like that because you can actually create your life through your own thoughts, okay? What else can I say? Yes, being limited can maybe help you to access this source easily, but we are all able to access the source anytime. You just need maybe time or meditation, okay? Ideas are there, you just need to catch them. I really like the idea that David Lynch says about like ideas are like fishes and you need to like catch them. So how do you catch fishes? How do you fish? You throw the thing and you wait and you wait and you wait, and suddenly something is gonna come, and you need to sometimes wait a long time for it to come, and it's part of the adventure. So look for that kind of accesses that you can get. Maybe next time you go to the studio you can close your eyes and see what you can get through this. Maybe you can access ideas that you will never be able to find looking everywhere you go. I guess that's it. Pain is momentary, injuries are amazing, and failure is the biggest teacher you can have. That's all for today. I hope this series of videos are kind of giving you some lights into solo creation or other aspects of your life, if that's nice. I'm trying to give tools and kind of bringing my own experience into the table and conversation, and hopefully open conversations. I think nothing is eternal and nothing is constant. The only thing that is constant is change. So let's keep changing, and yeah, I hope this set of tools is getting richer through time. I'm gonna try to make a new video soon, cause I was a little bit out for a while, but hey, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, see you in the future.